This is the ultimate dream.
So
a
good.
Nice,
Delicious
soup with freshly made corn tortillas.
I hope you're ready because today we are making the ultimate comfort food, a warm, delicious, hearty Mexican albondiga soup meatballs. You're not only gonna get a recipe from this video, but you will learn a word or two in Spanish. Let's get started with 2 pounds of ground beef, 92% lean, 8% fat. Now let's just dice half of a white onion. Finely dice them because they are gonna go into those meatballs. I'm just running my knife one last time to get those onions really fine. Onions is just a very crucial part of these meatballs. Another classic ingredient has to be the mint leaves. I just washed them and I'm gonna remove them from the stem. Stack them so you can finely chop them into the bowl as well. And this is gonna be around 1/4 cup. To this, I'm also gonna add 1 teaspoon of ground onion, 1 teaspoon of ground garlic, 1 teaspoon of ancho chili powder, 1 teaspoon of ground chipotle. You can substitute both of the chili powders with paprika if you don't want an added kick of heat. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1.5 teaspoons of dry Mexican oregano, salt to your liking. I'm gonna do 2.5 teaspoons of kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper, 1/4 cup of long grain rice, 2 large eggs. Now mix everything to combine. Soups are just a big part of Mexican cuisine and we take it up a notch by adding so much flavor. Time to roll these meatballs. You can make them as big or as little as you want them. I'm gonna be using a trigger release scoop to portion them out, but I'm just getting fancy. You can just eyeball it. I always get a satisfaction when I see them nicely lined up. The great thing about having all of those ingredients finely chopped is the fact that they incorporate beautifully into the meatball. All right, the action is about to start. Place a large pot over medium-high heat, and the first thing we're gonna do is brown those meatballs to deepen the flavors. Pour in a couple of tablespoons of avocado oil, add them in, and do this in batches to prevent overcrowding the pot. That way you get a nice color all around. I'm actually only going to brown 2 sides of the meatballs. I love that browning that developed at the bottom. We're still gonna take advantage of it. We're gonna remove all of the meatballs because our next step is gonna consist of kind of deglazing that bottom. And for that, we're gonna need a whole white onion and 2 carrots that have been medium diced. And for this step, I did lower the heat to medium. Add a little more oil if needed. And you know what I'm missing here? A couple of celery sticks, but guess what? I forgot them, but I typically do add them in. So that's definitely an option for you at home. Feel free to lower that heat a little bit more if needed because you really want those onions to start to sweat because that's what's gonna start to deglaze the bottom. Saute them until slightly softened. Add in 6 minced garlic cloves, 1 teaspoon of dry marjoram, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice, 4 whole cloves, and toast them for about a minute. It will help release those essential oils. Now add in 1.5 tablespoons of tomato paste. Also gets to cook for about a minute. Time for 2 also medium diced tomatoes. And allow these to slightly soften. Pour in 12 cups of low sodium beef broth. Bring this to a boil. For that, I'm gonna increase the heat to medium high. Add just 1 chipotle in adobo because I don't want it too spicy. If you like it really spicy, just add 2 or 3. It's up to you. This is now boiling. Lower the heat to medium low. It needs to reach a gentle simmer. Carefully add in all of those meatballs. With the addition of more ingredients into the pot, that temperature is gonna start to drop. So try to keep it at a gentle simmer the whole time, which means you may have to play with the heat settings while you're cooking this. Add in 1/4 bunch of cilantro chopped and a bundle of joy. But this actually consists of fresh thyme, fresh mint, and fresh oregano. I just tied them up with a string. Cover and allow those meatballs to fully cook. It'll take about 10 minutes because remember, we had already browned them, so they're partially cooked. Grab 3 gold potatoes, and that pot is still going at it over there. We're gonna let it do its thing. Meanwhile, we need to prep all of our veggies, starting with the potatoes, which I'm gonna cut into big pieces. Just make sure you don't cut them too big. I'm just gonna add them with the rest of the veggies, which I've already prepped. And that includes 3 corn on the cob, which I cut into 3 sections, 1 chayote, and you can peel it if you like, which brings me back to the potatoes. I didn't peel them because I want that fiber content, but it's optional. 1 calabacita, and if you can't find it, feel free to use zucchini as a substitute. 1/4 of a cabbage. All of these have been diced similar in size, and it's about to get really hearty. Add in all of those veggies that are gonna take the longest to cook, which is the corn, the chayote, and potatoes. Beautiful, gorgeous potatoes. This is back to a simmer. Cover the pot and let those vegetables cook for about 10 to 15 minutes or until they're 90% of the way cooked. Oh yes, look at that, looking marvelous. Add in the calabacita carefully. You don't want to splash yourself. And also the cabbage. When it comes to veggies, there isn't really a number. You can add more or less and mix and match. We're gonna give this 5 more minutes, allow everything to fully cook, and I'll see you in a bit. The meatballs are cooked. The veggies are nice and tender, but not mushy. I do not like mushy vegetables. It's just perfect. Look at that. The last thing we need to do is add salt to taste. And I'm just gonna do a generous amount here. And while you're at it, if you wanna remove our little bundle of joy, you can. This is ready, let's serve it up. Top them off with red chopped onion. It can also be white. Some chopped cilantro, some sliced radishes, a drizzle of lime juice to open up those flavors. And it's time for us to enjoy these with some freshly made corn tortillas. Oh my goodness, I gotta say it's so good. I already tasted it.
Wow.
It's like a hug to the soul.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing better than a warm bowl of soup with freshly made corn tortillas. I cannot afford an entire one, so half one will be. And we have some fresh, actually this is like semi-dried cheese, right? Nelson's dad brought this one all the way from El Salvador.
This is the ultimate dream.
So
a
good.
nice, delicious soup with freshly made corn tortillas.
Yep. You can also add a good portion of Mexican rice into the soup. I personally rather have it like this. You can do whatever you please at home.
Man, try it this way. And go watch the video on how to make fresh corn tortillas. Man, you're gonna love it.
I really hope you try it at home. The full printable recipe is available on villacocina.com. Don't forget you can follow us on all of our social media platforms. And until the next one, everyone.
Keep cooking, everybody.
Enjoy.